that was later on in the half.
The ninja tackle, I think, is the one where the player kind of jumps and wraps himself around and puts his whole body weight on the ball carrier, so he's off. So he's kind of like in like in Gladiators when they were on like the rings and they'd be swinging on the rings, and then the gladiator would come and they'd get them and they'd kind of hug them and kind of put the whole weight on them to pull them down off the rings. That's sort of what I envisage in the ninja tackle being like. It's I think it's that one. I think it's the one where they put their whole body. I might be wrong. It might not be this one, but that's what I thought the ninja tackle was referring to. The ones where they kind of put the whole body weight onto the player. It's
obviously bad enough in terms of the damage that it's caused in terms of knee ligaments and stuff, isn't it?
It's done his knee every which way. So that's really sad for James Glover, and I don't know whether Lewis Charnock's punished, because I've not seen the incident. I can't speak for.
Yeah, I can't remember it.
We don't see 8 games handed out very often. So whilst we've a long time talked about whether the punishments are severe enough, in general from the way our disciplinary process works, we don't see 8-game bans very often. So that suggests that within the remit that they have, they've taken this quite seriously.
Yeah, no, completely, and it sounds like, as I say, they've punished it appropriately. As I say, it's shown a level of contrition, so I think that's fair enough.
Okay. Halfback Jordan Lilly has penned a permanent 2-year deal with Bradford, joining from Leeds. Lilly, who's 22, is currently midway through an 18-month loan spell from the Rhinos, but has now been released by the Super League club for next year. Tom Andrews got in touch. He said, "So, Leeds totally sever ties with their only halfback with any game management. Leeds in crisis is so satisfying to watch unfold." Mate, if other news stories have been confirmed today, we'll be talking about your club in crisis, but we'll get to the sheeniest conversation when we talk about your game, Tom.
Yeah. There you go. Good.
Bradford perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he celebrated by missing a crucial tackle this week. But no, I mean, to be fair, it was good deal. Very happy about it. Can't argue with his contribution since he's coming to the team. I think we've Bradford have done a lot in terms of his kind of confidence rebuilding. So I'm happy that faith has been repaid in terms of the length of the deal. I think I was talking to my dad about this at the weekend, actually, and he's of the opinion that at the end of the 2 years he'd be looking to get back into Super League, which I can't really argue with if he can't get there with us.
I think for that for certain, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but no, I'm happy that we've got him while we have him, definitely.
Whilst we're talking about that, I've just discovered, really excitingly, that this pen that I got given the other week, when you click the top, it doesn't turn the pen on. That twists, but it turns a light on within the pen.
I thought you were going to say it's one of those pens where the ladies' clothes fall off.
No, but it lights up. It's very exciting. What? Talking of people signing young, out of favour halfbacks from Super League clubs, what have Rochdale been up to?
Rochdale have signed halfback Isaac Farrell on a permanent deal until the end of the season following his release from Huddersfield. The 21-year-old, who's the son of former Leeds prop Anthony Farrell, made his Huddersfield debut in their Challenge Cup defeat to Swinton in 2017. Went on to make 3 appearances for the Giants. Farrell spent time on loan and in dual reg with Batley, Workington and Swinton.
So player getting some game time in the Championship, having not quite Super League. I think I saw one of his 3 appearances in person, and
right.
I think he's got talent, but I've not really seen him impose himself on a game, whether it be in the Championship or the few Huddersfield games he had. So makes sense all round.
Yep.
Into League One, Oldham have signed utility back Harry Aronson on an initial 1-month loan deal from Swinton.
And Workington have signed former St Helens 3-quarter Calvin Wellington.
Back from Union then, isn't he? He left them to go and try his hand at because he's Welsh. I think he went and played Union, but he's back in Rugby League. South Sydney have signed centre James Roberts from Brisbane on a deal until the end of 2021. So Jimmy the Jet in South Sydney colours now. That's a team at the top of the table to be able to sign an international and Origin calibre player. That's Some going for a mid-season acquisition to replace, obviously, Greg Inglis.
Yeah, they just need to keep him out of the bars. Allegedly. The University of Bolton Stadium will host the Challenge Cup triple header on the 27th of July, despite Bolton Wanderers entering administration this month. The RFL has received assurances from Bolton's administrators the event can take place. Both men's semi-finals will take place along with a women's final there for the first time.
Yeah, we'll talk about the draw and how that shapes up after we talk about the Challenge Cup quarterfinals, but I think it's positive that it sounds like they've done some prodding and got some reassurances, and
I heard that
everyone some people having already bought tickets, and obviously lots of people buying tickets now after their teams have confirmed their place there. Hopefully that'll even more solidify the place being there, because it was a good event last year.
It was, yeah. I've heard that Valley Parade was a potential backup option, but yeah, no, I think Bolton, I think it worked well last year, didn't it? So hopefully we can have more another successful event this year.
The RFL have confirmed AB Sundex as the sponsor of the new 1895 Cup. AB Sundex are a sponsor of Lee, with Derek Beaumont, one of the company's directors, along with his wife Laura Beaumont, who did all the publicity for this. Probably best keeping Derek out of that publicity.
Yes.
But
probably very wise.
We can't slag them off for getting a sponsor, that's for sure. We would have slagged them off. We did slag them off, I think, pre-season for not having a sponsor for this competition. So that's a positive. It'll feel a bit weird if Lee get to the final, but there you go.
Yeah, well, at least it's not another betting company.
That's diversifying the RFL portfolio for sure.
And finally, former Salford and Hull FC forward Jansen Turgott is making remarkable progress, but he's still on life support after being severely injured following a fall from a car park in Ibiza. The 23-year-old fell from the third floor on the 19th of May and has been in intensive care in Spain ever since. His mother, Carol Butler, tweeted he had 8 hours of surgery on Wednesday, but is now in a stable condition. It's planned Turgott will be flown home in an air ambulance in the near future. She said he's very strong, and when they reduce the sedatives, he gets a bit restless. But considering the amount of surgery he's had, I'm under no illusions that he's in some discomfort, to say the least. Jansen's had a big day of surgery on Monday, which is the most complex due to it being bone structure in his face. Then he's had hand surgery booked in for Tuesday. Providing everything goes as planned, we'll be looking to air ambulance him home into an ICU bed in the not too distant future.
Yes.
So yeah.
Positive progress. It seems like some of the real serious concerns are alleviating, and the work is being done to rebuild Jansen Turgott.
Yeah.
So good news to hear. I'm sure we'll be updating on that story kind of throughout the year as it moves along. But
yeah, I'm sure it'll take time.
Okay, thanks to everyone for Tom and some other people for the views they sent in on the news stories this week. Please do get your views into us on the Google form. If you want a link to the Google form to be able to send in views on news stories, then just hit us up on Twitter or Facebook or any of those normal avenues, and we'll send you a link for that. Okay, that's the news. Decent hefty news section, but we've got through it, and we're now going to move on to the Challenge Cup quarter-final match reviews. It's the Challenge Cup quarter-finals now, then, for the meaty match reviews part of the show. The first two games we got good numbers of reviews in. Not quite so much for the BBC games at the weekend, which is a little bit disappointing. But
yeah.
But we'll cover those games anyway ourselves, and some people did get in touch. But we're probably going to talk about crowds as we go along, and we start with what was a remarkably low crowd for a Hull FC home game. Hull FC faced the Catalans Dragons on Thursday night. It finished 51 points to 8 as Hull FC romped it in the second half, because it was only 12-8 at half time. Ben Thaler was the referee, who had to chase down a lot of Hull FC breaks in that second half, and 4,832 were there. Which
20,000 black and white empty seats.
That was one of the saddest things from the weekend. Was you saw highlight reel plays, and then when they're getting repeated, all you saw was empty seats.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Because this came hot on the heels of as Sarah talked about last week, a very frustrating, annoying, exasperating performance.
Yeah,
and I know it's the cup, and I know you've got to pay extra, and blah blah blah. But 5,000 is absolutely shite, and there's no other way to talk about it. If you can't get more than 5,000 people to a game, because
Hull FC can sometimes take nearly 4,000 to an away game.
Yeah,
they've got a great support base. All the time we talk about how great they are travelling all over the place watching this inconsistent side. And then we're going to talk about other fan bases, don't you guys worry. And we know there won't have been many away fans contributing to that after them having Barcelona and their Magic weekend to contend with. So we appreciate all those factors going in for it. But under 5,000 for one of our best 4 or 5 supported clubs is worrying.
It's not good enough. No. It's just not good enough.
On to the game itself. We don't get stats for all these games. Regular listeners will be used to. So we'll just get into the fan views, and we'll start with Paul O'Brien, who said, a good start from Hull before a mini revival from Catalans. Close at half-time, but in the second half it was all Hull. A good win for Hull, and Catalans will be disappointed.
They will. Yeah, relinquishing their title. Josh says, well, it was always going to be a win for Hull, with Catalan playing Saturday and Hull not playing at Magic Weekend. Yeah. Maybe Hull should go into the yo-yo making business, as they're experts in up and down performances. Catalan looked exhausted, but after some big games recently, it's not surprising. Maybe the Army's where we need to look for players, with Ratu looking the fittest and greatest all-round player.
Carsten said, Cup Hull FC versus away Catalans. I don't want to be the coach of both sides. Hull FC were the well-earned winners, but Catalans were so bad in the second half.
Malcolm Matias. Now, before I go into it, I have to say, before I looked at these match reviews, I was fully expecting a bit of a kick karma here, because Catalan looked just like Toulouse, and I thought there was guaranteed to be a kick karma.
Well, I think that's like obviously their France kit, isn't it?
I don't know. Is that their? Because obviously they had the special edition.
Yeah, that was a one-off. They've got the home kit is the one with the yellow and red V.
Yeah.
And then their away kit is the one that's mostly. Is it mostly the one they wore at Magic Weekend? Was that mostly yellow with a bit of red, or the other way around?
But yeah, I don't know why they're wearing that. It didn't make any sense.
Well, Hull were wearing their alternative kit as well, weren't they?
Yeah, maybe because they had stayed over. Maybe they couldn't watch anything. But yeah, so Malcolm Matias says, "Stay over karma. Worked the first time, ain't done so since. English beer ain't working. Get back to Catalonia and prep things better from now on. Hope Hull go on to win it again. # shove it up the bastards."
Paul Chamberlain said, looking forward to a Hull versus Saints final, so Hull can beat Hull KR's final record defeat by a good 10 to 20 points.
Entirely possible. Joshua's granddad says, a little nervy when team announced, but a solid start before allowing Catalans back into it, leaving all to play for at 12-8 come the second half, and Snade, the Snake and Albert took control to run the show. Ratu finally getting chance to show his pace.
Yeah, he did that. Tom Andrews said, obvious what's happened here. Catalans have made a deal with the RFL not to appear at Wembley anymore, but the RFL will continue to ignore their salary cap breaches. The only logical reason I can come up with based on the FC I saw at Magic Weekend, because they were shy. Yes, they were, but not so in this match. I mean...
Eventually.
Well, eventually, yeah. I think... the writing was kind of on the wall that things were gonna go in their favour, though, right from that first try, where, if you remember it was the crossfield kick that Neil Longo got up and batted back, but kind of that, if it could have been seen as going either way, I think, but it did go slightly